Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of On the DELO. This is going to be episode 104, and wanted to do a solo episode to close out the end of the year. I want to reiterate and tell everybody thank you so much for listening. It's been so much fun. I got a lot of cool stuff lined up for next year, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, I do want to promote the fact that we've got our Built Different Mastermind happening. Yes, Sir Jeremy Scott and the DELO. Yours truly. This is a really cool workbook that we've put together that we'll be going through with the people that are already part of the mastermind. But if you're interested, curious, just hit us up. Got some really special stuff planned that both in person, online, all sorts of fun stuff. So they Built Different Mastermind. And I am going to be promoting some products next year. One of them is a Gogi, which is a protein, a hemp protein product that my wife and I are actually in love with. It tastes incredible and just gets me, with me getting super shredded and doing all this, work lately. It's been a lot to get enough food in and not feel bloated and feel sick. So this stuff does the job for me. I absolutely love it. Okay, cool. Let's get started. This podcast, this is going to be a short one. It's called Time Is Not on Your Side. And this is, believe it or not, it's a positive podcast. It's not anything negative. But it is that is a true statement in reality. Time is not on our side. If we just think about all the things that we either waste time on, spend a lot of time on, do things that we don't really enjoy doing, and we look back and, obviously we can learn from that sort of stuff. And then we're in the present and we're like, wow, where did that time go? A lot of times, the natural flow of life just kind of gets the best of us. Think about it like when you were a child and, if you're old like me now, you can kind of close your eyes and you can remember certain instances of your childhood. I remember, a lot, like when I was a kid selling lemonade on the side of the road. I can close my eyes and I can get back into that place. And it's a magical place because I remember where I was at, who I was talking to, not all of it, but a lot of it. I remember, just a lot of great memories of childhood. And I know that that's something that we all, have are those memories at times. And then you think about being a teenager. You think about the first time that you drove your vehicle, first time that you may have gone out and drank, the first time that you, found somebody else attractive. It's pretty crazy. And then we become young adults and we're like, I got to pay for that. My kids are going through that now, except they spoil the hell out of them. So, so you're a young adult and you're like, wow, where am I going to live? How am I going to pay for that? Like, wow, $200 in my bank account's a lot of money. All those things. And then you become like an adult and, you're so focused on your career and doing big things and you get a family. And then you're raising kids or you're dealing with family, things such as softball practice or t-ball practice and Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any of that sort of stuff. And then, again, the career, you have relationship things, you have status things. Then you retire. And then, at the end of it all, we're pretty much forgotten. I mean, have you taken time to look back in archives? And when I say archives, like black and whites of your grandparents and their grandparents. And think about that. That's not that long ago. It really isn't. The history of life is not that long. And when you look at those photos, do you just ever look at them? Or even if you're watching, say, History Channel or something, to that, and you're like looking at people that worked, they worked back in the coal mines, they worked building skyscrapers. All those people are dead. They're gone, and other than some moments caught in photos where we may see it here or there, we don't know who they are. We don't know what their life was like. We don't know what they sacrificed, what they didn't sacrifice, how they lived, what made them happy, what was their retreat, how they celebrated their Christmas. We don't know any of that. We just know a picture and an image. And, it's one of those things where that will be us. That will be all of us. We will all be forgotten. Even the famous and most famous people albeit maybe they get brought up back in a history book or something like that, but they're forgotten too. They're not talked about every day. And then the future moves on, and then we sit here, as we are alive, and we feel the vulnerability of, who we are and where we're going and where we might go after this. And, that's always one of those, let's just say, forever questions. What is in the forever? So, everybody's timeline is different too, and that can depend on the physical, that can depend on the mental. It can depend on a lot of things, and you can have different timelines while you're alive on different things, and you can have a different timeline just on life itself, and that can be, from your overall health giving out, which, I just had a very close friend, 46 years old, pass away, and his timeline was different, and as sad as it is, all I can do is hope, pray, and believe that was his timeline to allow him to a greater place. And I think a lot of us all hope and have that belief. And I do believe it. I really do. The more that I close my eyes and breathe and feel good just about life and what I'm doing here, and knowing that everything is okay, and the eventuality that, those close to us, friends, family, animals, whatever it may be, they will have a different timeline as well. And that is something of a reality. But what is the reality to where that timeline takes them? And that's where we have to, I really feel it helps us in this, this planet Earth, this human, genre of ability to say, you know what, I'm going to live my timeline here to its maximum, and then I'm just going to, kick ass in the next timeline, sort of thing. So, we'll sip water. So anyways, some people say that time's not real. Who knows? Are we living in a dimension? Are we living in, different times all the times? Are we living separate lives? I mean, there's so many things that we can dig in and get into in the weeds, but we're not going to. And some say we just live in a body, and that, spirit is, around even before, after, or this is one big dream. I don't know. I mean, if I did, I probably wouldn't be selling insurance. I'd probably be, doing other stuff. But, at the end of the day, we have to think of the reality of our timelines. And, is this too deep? Does it get too deep? Is it really? I feel that we are so distracted all the time that sometimes those distractions take us away from what is really real. And as I sit here and I stare at a picture of, Yoda and Star Wars on my, in my media room here in the office where I shoot the podcast, I just, I see alternative realities for me where I can live in these universes, if I just close my eyes. And is that real? Is it fake? Who knows? Who knows? Even though time is short, the mind can play tricks on us, and they can tell you that you're in a situation that you may or may not be. But what I do want to say, and what I do want to bring up, is that now is the right time. People are always waiting for perfection. They're always waiting for something to go one way or the other, and it doesn't need to. The only thing that needs to happen is right here, right now. And as long as that is happening and you're conscious of that, and we can stay engaged with those around us and even within ourselves and our inner spirit, then that to me is living. Always feeling good about those around us, and being able to make a choice. Think about where you live and who you are. And most probably, if you're listening to this podcast, you've got a lot of freedom of choice. And that freedom of choice allows us to, again, be present with ourselves, with those around us, and with just the energy that we can give to others as a gift, to really make a difference in everybody around us. We talk about it all the time. Everybody does. Stop being distracted by the things. And look, I think technology is amazing. I think AI is going to do what's going to do. I think us getting wrapped up in the weeds about, oh my God, what's going to happen to me here or there, I think it's neither here nor there. I think it's just, okay, today I'm doing this, and today I will deal with this. And I don't always practice what I preach. I get lost in the minutia sometimes of, fear and chaos. And I have to reel myself back. And I really think that calming myself down, talking about it, having people to talk to about it, all that stuff makes a difference. It really does. Do the things that you love. That's really what it comes down to. I get it. We all got to work, right? I mean, if you want money, generally you got to work. Hopefully you're working and you're doing something that you either really love or at least semi-love. And if you don't, time to get out, And I know easier said than done, but I'm in insurance. I mean, for God's sakes, when I first got into this, I'm like, what am I doing? It was a job. It was something to make money. It was something to build a career. I had to create a niche and transform that into something that was a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more matching my personality. And I did that, and I sacrificed a lot of time and effort and years, but the rewards are grandiose. And if you really believe in the element of time and your timeline and your time frame, and you think that that is where you are going, then that's where you will go. I really do believe that. And the other thing I think about a lot too is so much technology. It's so easy to get in touch with people on Instagram, see their stories. We think that we are being personal with them. And in a way you are. You are getting personal in their lives. I walk into a place that people I haven't seen in years. And I'm like, DELO, wow, I saw you, you look great. Well, they haven't seen me in years. Well, of course, I'm very open about the things that I do. I enjoy that. That's something that I'm into. I work out and I show it. And I want to spread that love and that knowledge and that energy to others, so that they choose to partake in it. They can see that it can be done, especially by, some middle-aged old man that runs an insurance company. Or, hey, DELO, your family's beautiful. They've never met my family, all that stuff. And with all of that, with people being able to pry, as much as you let them, I still think there's an element of picking up the phone and calling them. Hearing that voice, hearing that tone, hearing that back and forth understanding. It's kind of like the old saying, or what I talk about a lot, is when you send an email, that email can be interpreted 1,000 ways. When you look at a picture or a piece of art, you can see 1,000 pictures inside of one picture. But when you're on a phone call, there's only a few ways, and maybe just one, really, if you're very clear and direct, of how that can be interpreted. An in-person conversation, that sort of thing, meeting somebody for coffee, taking those moments when you think that you don't have time, but you make that time, I guarantee you'll be glad that you made that time. So especially, with those that you care about, and also just being protective of your time and protecting yourself from, let's just say, what do they call them? Time bandits or time suckers. We don't want to get all of our time sucked out of us when we could be utilizing that time. Time is the one thing that, again, is never guaranteed. You know what's guaranteed? Life and death and taxes. Those are the three things guaranteed. Time is not guaranteed. Time cannot be paid for. Time cannot be given back. Time is the most precious of elements out there, more precious than gold, more precious than money, more precious than anything. So think about it, time after time. Is that Cyndi Lauper? I think so. There's so many songs on time. Go Google time right now. Google songs on time and listen to them, and listen to just how cool they are and how they give you that undertone and that magical, mystical experience. So take this time to go on a journey, to understand your soul, why you might be here, what the purpose is, and just take a deep breath, take a joy in it, and just know that as you're listening to this podcast, you've made a choice within your time to realize that this is kind of cool. I'm going to go out, I'm going to call somebody that I haven't talked to in a while, or somebody that I love. I'm going to set up a meeting to go sit with somebody, hang out with them for a little bit. I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to take time to take up a new hobby. I'm going to take time to really invest and live in the now. And so as we go on into the new year, into 2024, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for your time. Please share this podcast, subscribe, and I really appreciate you hanging out with the DELO. Peace out.